Rocket Companies, Inc., ticker symbol RKT. It is a heavily shorted stock that has very recently been noticed by Wall Street Bets on Reddit. I mean, their name literally is their favorite emoji, and Rocket is actually shorted more than GameStop as a percentage of the float. At last check, nearly 40% short. And as of this morning, right now, up more than 40%. The big Wall Street institutions have painted a gloom and doom picture for Rocket. They downgraded the stock even after the company beat revenue expectations, beat earnings expectations, announced better than expected guidance, and announced a $1 billion stock buyback. So today, one of my favorite kinds of shows, it is pure social arbitrage with an investment thesis straight from the Dumb Money Discord community. dumbmoney.tv/Discord. If you want to be a part of it there, you can get an invite. It's absolutely free. Today, we are going to be joined by a dude that goes by Peloton Gains on Discord to hear his prediction of even more Rocket gains. He's tracking Wall Street firms downgrading the stock while buying more for themselves. So today on Dumb Money, why we bought more than $1 million of Rocket and are hoping the stock continues to rocket to the moon. We are Dumb Money.
Three friends who turned $30,000 into $30 million using nothing more than Twitter and a zero commission trading account.
The suits that work on Wall Street, they call those people the smart money. That's not us.
Our goal is to help level the playing field for everyday investors.
We are Dumb Money.
Hey there, Dave here along with Chris and Jordan. We are Dumb Money. This is Dumb Money Live. Before we jump into our rocket ship, we do need to do a little safety check. Subscribe button engaged, notification bell, set that to all, and most importantly, the like thumb needs to be set to blue before we can take off. That was a bit of a stretch, but we really do thank you all for hitting the like button to help with the almighty YouTube algorithm. It helps let them know that we're on this morning. Chris, Jordan, our guest, named after one of your favorite stocks. Let's just bring him on. It is Peloton
Gains! One of our all-time favorite Dumb Money community members, has been with us from the very beginning of the Peloton run that made us all very wealthy traders here on dumbmoney.tv.
Not all. I was the one holdout on that. Although I am in Rocket.
Bill, Peloton Gains, I'm not even going to let you talk for a minute because I got to get this out.
That sounds like par for the course for this show.
I don't care. I'm going to implode if you don't let me get this out. Okay. So we have been in and out. I've been in and out of Rocket a few times since the IPO. Bill, you sent your high conviction report to me a week and a half ago, and I was like, I had already read it. I'd already read all of them. I'm like, I know, but I've been in and out of this thing a few times. I'll get to it. I'll do another deep dive on Rocket because I am a firm believer in the long game and what Rocket's all about, but the market just doesn't care, and they haven't cared since the IPO pretty much, right? And so finally, on Friday morning, they came out with earnings, blew it out of the water. Excuse me, that was Thursday, I think. Friday morning or Thursday? No, Thursday.
Friday,
came out with earnings.
Friday.
No, they came out with earnings Thursday afternoon, right?
Right, Friday morning.
Guys, I'm about to pass out right now. I'm so nervous, so I don't know.
All right, listen. Anyway, here's the deal. I was like, why didn't you tell me, Peloton Gains, that they were coming out with earnings this week? I would have gotten them before, but I didn't care. I waited till after earnings. I know, it was Thursday, dude, Jordan, because on Friday morning, I woke up at 6:30 a.m., 6:30 a.m.
Yeah,
and I bought it. I bought $1.3 million of Peloton last Friday morning, okay? And I bought it about 21 and a half, I think. And then even this weekend, Meet Kevin, who we love, who's in Rocket, was, I think, kind of making fun of me because he's like, but Rocket, the market hates Rocket. I'm like, I don't care. I am holding till the market realizes what is in this stock, and I just don't care. Same way as Bill? Same way, right? Come on, tell us about your call, man. High Conviction Report has been the Dumb Money channel now for what, a month? Is that right, Bill?
I was putting it on FinTwit, but I actually just put it in the High Conviction docs. But to be honest, man, I was posting about Rocket probably for 2 to 3 months, and people were listening to me because I got some credibility from Peloton. And people were following my trade, and they started losing money. So I felt really bad about that. So I kind of got off Discord because there was so much negative noise regarding Rocket, and I had my conviction, and I didn't want anyone else to influence my conviction. So I went on Reddit, and I did 3 DDs. It started as one. I made it into 3 parts. I think it was around 20 pages in total. I had a lot to say, and
It was probably the longest due diligence report, the just longest report I've seen ever posted to our Discord. And what a day to have you on. This is just remarkable. It's
Man,
up 37% now. Wow.
But guys, we planned this episode on Saturday, right? And I don't know. I mean, Dave, you posted this. You posted the title and the thumbnail last
yesterday.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope. I mean, I don't know. I don't like to be any part of a trigger of a short squeeze. I don't know that dumb money has gotten to the level to where we're going to have that much of a movement.
Did not
on
actually
a
have
stock
any
of this
impact.
size. But I'm happy to see it happen. What I want to do is listen. I have my thesis on Rocket. I think it's very similar to yours, Bill. Take us through very high level. Keep it high, because honestly, if you guys want to read the report, you got to go in dumbmoney.tv, go in our high conviction reports, and I think you do have it listed there under high conviction reports, right? And you could read there's not just one report, 3 back-to-back-to-back high conviction reports that Peloton Gains has done on Rocket, and you went in really deep. Tell us about your background in Rocket, and just give it to us.
First let me say it's an honor to be on your guys' show. I mean, you guys really embody selfless service, and I look at you guys as like the Mother Teresa of investing. How you guys help out the little guy. I first want to talk about the manipulation that was going on with Rocket, and I also want to say that I was inspired by DFV, sorry, aka Roaring Kitty.
Who is not a cat?
He likes the stock. There was such negative noise surrounding Rocket, and its sideways trading had me concerned. So I decided to do some research on stock manipulation, and it fit the criteria. And Jimmy Cramer and his cronies, analysts on Wall Street, they weren't saying anything about this blatant manipulation. So I took it upon me to really deep dive and let these retail investors know that their calls are expiring under max pain for a reason. It's pure manipulation. We had 103% institutional ownership. We had sideways trading. You'll see in my report, there's an example of manipulated stock, how it trades, and it was identical. The example of manipulated trading was identical to Rocket's movement. It couldn't have been more obvious. And what really irked me was JP Morgan Chase. JP Morgan Chase, I hate you. JP Morgan Chase gave a double downgrade to Rocket. And this was following. So they went from a buy to a sell, a double downgrade. And since they gave that buy rating, lockup expiration happened. No one sold, like I knew. Rates decreased even more. And they announced a $1 billion buyback. So JP Morgan, tell everyone in the retail community why you gave it a double downgrade. Tell us. So that really irked me. And like I said, it's a bad feeling losing money, but it's even worse feeling when your friends lose money because of the recommendations you make. So I kind of, I ducked out. I went in the shadows. I did my research, and I wanted to let everyone know about this manipulation. And, on weekends, like Chris, you say, man, when you find a stock you like on a Saturday, I'll start deep diving in Rocket. I'll look at my watch. I'm like, oh crap, 14 hours went by. And so I really went deep, and I wanted to expose these institutions, kind of like DFV did to the GameStop shorts.
Yeah, what's so fascinating about Rocket is that it's an easy company to poke holes in because, you can claim that, well, they're not a tech company, they're a mortgage company, they should only be valued like a mortgage company, and by the way, rates are going up, so they're going to get crushed. And when you say that, I think to a lot of investors, it makes sense. It's like, well, wait a second, they're pretending to be a tech company, and the reality is that they benefited from these really low refi rates, and now that refi rates are going to get pushed up a little bit, this company is going to fall apart. So let's short it. Let's short the hell out of it, right? And the issue is, you really have to look under the covers. And the deeper you dive into Rocket, the more you realize now they are, like any mortgage company, they are somewhat exposed to refi rates going up. And that's something they've talked about for a while. But the exposure is much smaller than you would think it is from reading the headline articles and the analysis. And by the way, before I go any further, if you don't know it yet, we are not financial advisors, guys. This is my trade. This is Bill's trade. This is why we made the trade. This is how we personally dissect the opportunity. In this case, more information. To this trade, I want to talk about it later in the episode. Do your own homework, right? Poke holes in the thesis. Poke holes in Peloton Gains' high conviction report. That's what this community is about. Listen, we have a community that is stronger than every single sell-side bank and buy-side fund together, okay? Like, I know because I worked hand in hand with virtually every major fund and bank on Wall Street for years at our old company, Ticker Tags. And I'm telling you, we have better intelligence. We have better collaborative research in this community. By the way, Peloton Gains, how about that community member that got in his airplane and drove over the new Peloton distribution center to do a channel check, landed, went inside, and started interviewing the person for our channel? That's what we do at dumbmoney.tv. That's all about our community members. So listen, I get it. I get that you are feeling the stress of, not seeing the results of your call early, but that's what it takes as a social arb investor, right? Like, you have to have patience because the opportunity wouldn't be there if everybody saw it. The nature of trading information or social or data is that other people are misinterpreting or not seeing or not appreciating what you see. So the nature of being a social arb trader is there's always a time window. There's always a gap until you reach information parity. It could be a day or a year or a decade, right? Like, it doesn't really matter. You just have to have that patience. And I'm glad you had the patience, and I'm so happy to see that you did not sell one share of stock through all of this, at least up until today. I don't know what you're doing now. We'll talk about that as well on this episode. But can you give me forget about the manipulation. Manipulation aside, whether it exists or not, and I do agree there's a lot of fishy stuff that's been happening to Rocket stock over the past few months. Tell us the thesis on why Wall Street's wrong, on why the narrative that they put out there on Rocket is wrong.
Yeah, that's a good question, Chris. So it's just a mortgage company, right? You said it. And I think it was Meet Kevin that said, it's mortgages. It's not sexy. Just a mortgage company. You know what that sounds like to me? It's just a bike with an iPad, right? And when Peloton was around $26, $27 in February and March, I was posting DDs like crazy on Peloton. And everybody on Wall Street Bets and Reddit was attacking me like, dude, you're going to lose all your money. Just sell. And even though Peloton was $30, still, like, buying it was so tough. It didn't feel right. And, the same negativity was kind of returned to my post on Rocket. And it didn't feel right buying Rocket because it was just down. It was being beaten down. So I was like, you know what? This reminds me of Peloton, Bill. You got to go all in. So I did. And, like Peloton, you can see I got the equipment. I have firsthand experience with Peloton. I got firsthand experience with Rocket. Out of college, that was the first place that I've worked. And I just got to say that, the culture is second to none at Rocket. And you'll read in my DDs how impactful it was. And I know I said its culture is going to make it be the Amazon and FinTech. I shouldn't even say it. They're just going to be the Rocket of FinTech. They're going to be their own thing. They're going to what you see right now, just wait in a few years because they are going to keep surprising people.
Well, I think one of the most important things for any investor to do, and I'll say it 100 times over, is you have to read the earnings reports. You have to read the Q&A, right? Like, it sounds so stupid, but like, if you're in Rocket today, or if you're against Rocket, if you're in the comments right now and you're saying, it's going to zero, it's like, whatever. I don't care what side you're on. My question to you is, how many of their earnings reports have you read? They've had a handful now since going public, right? Have you read every one of them? Because it really, to me, becomes really clear. And maybe, Jordan, this might be our background of spending 20 years as operators in the tech space. It really is clear that they have a very different approach from others in their sector, and they are in the mortgage sector primarily. But when you take a look at the mortgage sector, and we've known that sector really well over the past couple decades, we've had very close friends who have worked in the industry, who have managed mortgage companies in the industry. My wife actually was in HR for one of the largest mortgage companies in the world for many years. You have to understand that whether you're a big bank or a straight up mortgage company, you're always playing the short game. Every single mortgage company I've ever known is almost exclusively focused on the short game. How many deals are you going to close this month, this quarter, this year? You close your deals, you sell them off, you get on to the next customer. You have boom cycles, you have bust cycles, you have massive layoffs, you have massive hiring. Rocket is the polar opposite of that. They are doing something that I have personally wanted to do. I almost looked into starting a company in this sector many years ago because there's so much value in that customer relationship. No one is taking that customer relationship on the mortgage side and coddling it, right? And treating it for what it's worth, meaning it's a financial relationship. Why do you think companies like Robinhood are so valuable? Even before they made $1 of income. They're valuable because they have a financial relationship. And that's actually extraordinarily valuable to have. That sells for hundreds and hundreds of dollars, right? So Rocket really has a totally different way of viewing the marketplace in that they are looking at lifetime customer value. When they get someone into their ecosystem, it's how much money can they generate off of them, not off their mortgage and ancillary products, which, by the way, they're doing better than anyone else because they also own their own title companies, right? And they're looking to vertically integrate. But then they're thinking they're using data analysis, right? They have a few thousand Jordans that are developing really intuitive data analysis on each of their customers to understand when they should be pitching them what types of products, what type of rates they can get away with, so that they can actually develop a revenue stream over the lifestyle cycle of that customer. Not just with the mortgage, but when they go to buy a car, when they actually go to buy their next home, Rocket is then setting them up with the agency relationship that's going to guarantee them additional Rocket business. When they need to actually take money out of their home, right? Rocket is there. And they're doing this all digitally. They're doing this leveraging data. And again, you can just throw all that away and be like, I don't care, you're a mortgage company. I don't see it that way. And I think it's going to take not months, but years until the market really understands the value of what Rocket is trying to build. They're playing the long game. And guys, very rarely does a company get appreciated for playing the long game. Amazon does.
Up front they did not. And it just kept killing their stock price until people finally got it and realized that this long game actually is going to pay off for them. But Rocket is completely different. And I can't think of just from an online user experience, the process of clicking on their application is so much easier than the traditional way. Chris, when you got a mortgage for your house, it was a stack of papers and you had to go to a place and you had to have a notary, you had to go to somewhere else to have it notarized. Rocket is just streamlined the entire operation, and when people have a good experience with it up front, they're going to come back and say, well, the next time if I did my home, of course I'm going to do some other loan product through them as well.
Dave, that was never as big of a deal, right? Because I feel like anybody else can catch up on that user, that first hey, build out that user experience from the beginning. And I was actually not very excited about Rocket until I read Bill's report, and he talked about the isms that go along with the company culture at Rocket. And basically that's I think what is driving all of this is that they have a customer first focus, right? And they're going to do everything they can possibly do. There's no excuses. You take care of the customer. And that to me is the real magic here. It's not that they've got a technological front end or anything else. Because they'll keep building that. Other companies will notice that and start to do that. But the one thing that you can't replace is a good company culture.
So Jordan, I'm glad you said that. That's going to get into the social arb of this trade, which I think is missed by just about everybody Bill, I don't know if you touched on this. I don't recall in your report, but I did my normal deep dive research on the way that consumers view Rocket, their reviews of Rocket, how they feel about the brand just from a consumer experience. And guys, it's very similar to Peloton, and I can't even believe I'm saying that because we're actually talking about a mortgage company here. I mean, who on earth feels good about their mortgage company and their title company? I mean, I could tell you, when I got my mortgage, I don't know how many years ago, through one of the top 3 banks, it was the most miserable process ever. And when I went to refinance that mortgage, I could barely get anyone on the phone to help me. It took me like a month to eventually get someone to pay attention to me just to refinance that mortgage. And now there's been multiple times when I thought, maybe I'll do that again. And I'm like, who's the guy? I call the number, they don't call me back. They're not even proactively reaching out to me to say, hey, you could pull money out of your loan, Chris. You could do this and that based on, your very specific situation. Like, it's mind-blowing how big of a company I have my mortgage with and how horrifically bad they are at leveraging the relationship they have with me. The only thing they know how to do is every time I walk into the bank, and I know, Dave, make fun of me, and you haven't been in a bank in 15 years. Every time I walk into the bank, they try to make me change my checking account from A to Z or open up some stupid thing when I'm standing in front of them. But I'm like, why are you waiting until I'm standing in front of you? I don't want to talk to you now. If you have something you want to pitch to me, do it digitally. Use artificial intelligence. Use data science to figure out what the perfect thing is for me based on all the insane data that you have on me, right? All that financial data. Why aren't you doing that? Well, guess what? Rocket is actually doing that, and they do it in a way that people love. And I can't believe we're talking about a mortgage company that has figured out a way to get their customers to love them, okay? And to me, that is the social arb in Rocket, okay? That's part of the reason why I invested in Rocket. I also invested because I believe they're the only company playing the long game in this space. When we eventually adapt blockchain, right, to the real estate ledger, and we no longer have titles, okay, when titles are happening over the blockchain, who do you think will be the first company to bring that to market? Rocket. I will guarantee you they will find the company that is doing that, and they will have the first partnership. If you look at the integrations they have, you look at the Realtor.com integration that they just formed. There is, by the way, Bill, do you have any idea who this new one is they keep hinting at? There's another major partner that they said will be announced in 2021. Any speculation?
I'm going to go back to the question you asked me 20 minutes ago. How many earnings calls that I listened to? The question is not how many earnings calls I listened to, how many times have I listened to them? Because every time you listen to them, you're going to find something new. All right. You got to dig into the details, and anyone out there who's investing in a company, if you're not listening to the earnings call, just go into index funds. Then you got to take the time and you got to listen to the earnings calls. And you're talking about Rocket. You're saying, well, it's just a mortgage company. And Dan Gilbert is a genius. He's absolutely a mastermind.
Agreed.
And since 2013, he always said, it's not what we do, it's how we do it. That's what it's about. We're not a mortgage company. We're a tech company and we're a marketing company. We just happen to sell mortgages along the way. And you're talking about data. And this is a big point that I want to make. By 2030, they want to own 30% of the mortgage market, 30%. And they, let's sprinkle in some personal loans in there too. And then people that get denied or go to another place. You could potentially have 50% of homeowners' credit reports right there. You know what's on a credit report? Auto loans. You know what else is on there? Leases, when they expire. They have all that information, and they analyze every single detail. Okay, should I call the customer 30 minutes from now after they sign it, or 10 minutes from now? I mean, it sounds a little insignificant, but when you're talking on a scale of 50% of the entire, all of America's mortgage market, when you're analyzing that data, it becomes very valuable. And
let me say one more thing. If you have 30%, and I believe they can get there, by the way, when I look at Rocket and I look at how aggressive they are, I look at how amazing they are at fine-tuning their acquisition cost. If they get to 30% of the mortgage market, that doesn't mean 30% of the mortgage market. That means that they own 30% of the financial relationships, right, that are touching homeowners, that they can leverage any way they want into any instrument or any sector that they... Could you even imagine all the sectors that Rocket is going to be in 2030? Do you really think, looking at the history of this company and his background, that he's going to stop at mortgage, home referrals for agents, and auto loans, and then refis and pulling money out? Absolutely not. Rocket will be at the bleeding edge, I believe, of every single financial opportunity they can get into over the next decade. This is a company that thinks like Amazon. This is a company that thinks like Peloton. This is a company that wants to take over the financial world. Will they do it in every aspect? Absolutely not. But I think this is a company that will be viewed as a technology fintech leader over the next few years. Again, I don't know if it happens in 2021. I don't know that it happens in 2022, but I believe that the odds are in their favor that they will turn around the way people view Rocket on Wall Street and in general in the sector. And that's the ARB, however long it takes.
Definitely. And to go back to Jordan's point about culture, I did basic combat training for the Army in 2011, and it's an 11-week course where they strip you down from your civilian beliefs and build you back up to a new belief system as a soldier. And I got to say, Rocket's indoctrination was on par with the U.S. Army's. It was honestly on par.
But you worked for Rocket, right? You didn't tell anyone that yet here today.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, it kind of did, I think.
Okay, sorry.
I think he mentioned it. That was his first.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, the indoctrination there was second to none. Every company has guiding principles, value systems, but values are very meaningless unless they're embedded into the company's day-to-day norms. And I'll tell you what, I mean, it's more than embedded in their day-to-day norms. So Dan Gilbert, who's worth $50 billion, $50 billion guy, and the CEO, Jay Farner, every 3 weeks, they take new hires and hires that have been there for 2 years that need a refresher course, and they have an 8-hour seminar, kind of like a Tony Robbins seminar, where Dan explains, hey, this is how I started, and this is where I got to where I'm at, and I'm going to make sure that we enforce these same principles, and we can be a success, and every one of you can be a success like me. They are a company that really promotes meritocracy. You can be 18 years old, and you can be a presidential banker if you can sell. And Dan says this all the time. I don't care if you are Ivy League, you've got a regular bachelor's degree, or you got your GED. Hell, I don't care if you don't even have a high school education. If you can sell and you can work and you can produce, you're going to make it here. And you see a lot of the leadership at Rocket. They're people that, used to work at like Ruby Tuesdays, used to work at Market or something. But they just hustle and grind. And Chris, we know from investing who are the best investors.
Always, you got
to hustle and grind. They weren't fed with a silver spoon. You go on the Discord, you talk to all these people. I mean, they're people that kind of grew up middle to low class, and they have a hunger in their stomach. And who do we have as analysts? We got the Ivy League guys that aren't hungry, and we're listening to them for their advice. It's backwards, in my opinion.
Bill, you know what I love about this, and you highlighted it perfectly in your report, is that these people are going to be fiercely loyal because they weren't given a chance anywhere else, but they were given a chance at Rocket, and so they're going to do everything they can to make sure that Rocket's successful. I love it, and I think you did a really good job. If you haven't read that report that Bill put together, you are missing out. It was really good.
Read it because
how they could find that report. It's on our Dumb Money Discord. If you go to dumbmoney.tv/Discord, look in the High Convictions section. There's a whole bunch of channels, but High Convictions is where you'll find this one.
Yeah, and listen, I want to make a point here. A lot of people they rip on from Wall Street. They rip on Wall Street Bets and Roaring Kitty, Deep Effing Value about like they're just pumping. But we all know that he put an incredible amount of research into GameStop over a 2-year period. And whether you believe his research or not really doesn't matter. It was based on a really strong thesis that he had. We do the same thing, right? The report on Rocket here is really deep. I believe in most of it. I have some additional thoughts like I've discussed on this show. I'm a believer in the thesis. I think there's a strong narrative. There's a lot of work that went into this trade, especially on Peloton Gains side. And this is what the community is all about. You have amazing people doing the work. And by the way, if you want to blow up his report, if you want to poke holes in it, totally fine. Don't ever get mad at someone for losing you money because he's not telling anyone to invest. He wants you to read his report, poke holes in it, and if you agree with it, then obviously go and invest. But like if you don't agree with it, make him smarter. Show him what he's missing. I always invite this community, tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me what I'm missing. We're far from perfect, right? And we're getting smarter every day, partially because of you guys. So I want to encourage as much healthy debate. You know, we have a lot of devil's advocates in our community. Keep being who you are, poke holes, because at the end of the day, I want to see the other side of the trade. And if I believe in the other side of the trade, that's going to lower my conviction. If I see the other side of the trade and I think it's flawed, that increases my conviction. And when I saw the other side of the rocket trade, I was like, I understand why you think that, but I think you're wrong. And I'm willing to trade that. It's just that simple. I'm so happy for you today. What I'm going to do with my shares, I have, like I said, I have about over $2 million of Rocket right now. I purchased Rocket in my charitable foundation last week. And the great thing about that is there's no taxes. So I can sell at any time. I don't have to worry about tax gains. I am likely to take a partial exit on my Rocket here because I believe there's a short-term arb trade in Rocket and there's a long-term arb trade in Rocket. At some point in the very near future, it could be today, could be this week, I'll have to take a look at where I think the stock is headed in the short term because there is a short squeeze scenario here. And if I think the buzz is building and the awareness of Rocket is building into the close today, into tomorrow, and it starts to catch fire on other boards and Wall Street bets, I might keep the short-term part of my portfolio trade longer. But even when I exit that piece, I'm going to keep a piece of Rocket for the long term because I truly do believe in the long-term social arb thesis of this company. And it's a company that I could see myself owning for a few years until the market starts to really appreciate who they are and starts to value them on the type of company that they are.
Now, can we talk a little about the short squeeze? Because that was a component of the due diligence, and I think that that's probably where the Wall Street bettors are most focused right now, right?
Yeah.
So
you know,
I actually want to bring up Kevin. Kevin was actually in the chat, and he wants to clarify that he is bullish on Rocket. He just had a
He owns Rocket. Yeah. He owns Rocket.
He owns it. So
yeah,
I think
he told us that.
Know, we must have said something earlier. I don't remember exactly what it was.
He said it wasn't sexy. That's what he said. He said it wasn't sexy, and I can tell you, Rocket's going to be like Justin Timberlake, and they're going to bring sexy back.
I might have also said that Rocket wasn't sexy yet, because I see them as being sexy, but the world doesn't see what I see. And so, like, I get it. I get why people look at Rocket and they immediately think mortgage. There's nothing unsexier than a mortgage, guys, right? So I kind of get where Kevin's coming from. But I agree with you, Bill. I think under the hood, they are super sexy. And I think eventually people will start to see that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to reclaim my time and go back to the culture. So I just want to say, Rocket is so obsessed with their customer service. I can't really paint a picture. You just got to see it to believe it. But
you got to believe it to see it.
You have a good memory, my friend. Steel trap. But at that Isms Day, Dan Gilbert, who, by the way, you know who's the next richest person than Dan Gilbert? He's the 25th. You know who's the 24th? Jack Ma. So you look at that, a mortgage company. No, it's not just a mortgage company when you're up there with Jack Ma in value. But when he's giving this seminar,
a little basketball team that I'm sure some of you have heard of too.
Yeah, for sure. And he kind of flexed on LeBron James too, but that's another part we'll get to. But during that seminar, they emphasize their customer focus at the, maybe it's the middle or the end. Dan puts his cell phone number on the board on the big screen and Jay Farner's too. And they say, hey guys, I know you're busy. You got a lot of clients. If you ever get too caught up and you can't call your client back, then just shoot me an email and I'll call them for you. And And they're legit serious. No one's dumb enough to do that, right? But they're legit serious, and there's standards. There's no politics at that company. Either you produce or you don't. Either you adapt to the culture or you're out. And that's why they kind of, they let the people that have no college education, because if they can swim with everyone, they're going to stay there. It doesn't matter if you have an Ivy League education. If you can't live those isms, you're out. And if you put your 2 weeks in, they don't want any bit of toxic culture in there. They don't want any toxicity. So they'll, like I said in the report, they'll kind of escort you out like The Office, Michael Scott, Toby style.
I love it.
But so you got to call your customer back, and I want to get to this too. You have to call every customer back within a 24-hour period. And it doesn't matter if you were there for 15 days or 15 years. If you don't call your customer back 3 times or a customer back 3 times over those 15 years, you're gone. No exceptions, no excuses. So when I was early on the trading floor as a banker, I had a client that didn't qualify for a mortgage loan, and I denied him. He called my cell phone, I believe, and that's not even tracked by the company. He called my cell phone, left a message. I was so busy, I forgot to call him back. He called the help desk, and he said, "Hey, I'm trying to get in touch with my banker, Bill. Can you transfer me to him?" And they reported me for not calling that guy back within 24 hours.
I love it.
And if you read the report, the next thing that happened was Bill Emerson, who was a G, man. This guy was a great CEO. He's doing bigger and better things than CEO of Rocket right now. He's some big wig for the government mortgage. But he sends me an email, and he says, "Hey, Bill, can you give me an update on this? Why did you not call your customer back?" And CC'd on that email was none other than Dan Gilbert himself. If you can't, yeah,
burn! I love this.
And so my director at the time, shout out to Andrew Stokes, he talked to his RVP and he thought it was covered, right? And so we didn't reply because our RVP, regional vice president, talked to Bill Emerson, but he wanted to reply directly from us. So 3 days later, Bill Emerson goes, "Hey, any update? ? And you're a CEO of 20,000 employees, right? And you are so obsessed and so type A that you want to cut out the regional vice president, you want to cut out the president of mortgage banking, you want to cut out your director of mortgage banking, your team captain, and you want to go directly to the banker. You want to remove all that red tape and say, what was the problem? Why is there a disconnect?" And what other CEO with 20,000 employees would do something like that?
Love it.
I can't even imagine how they have the time, and how could that possibly scale? If you have 20,000 employees and you still have them jumping on those email chains.
Well, because they call their people back. That's why.
You have to, or you're gone.
Yeah.
I love it.
Sounds like a difficult place to work. We have people saying that's toxic, but I mean,
I love it so
customer-centric
much, man.
Well, here's the thing. Look at Amazon. I mean, if you look at Amazon's, I'm sorry, but greatness comes at a cost.
And look at Zappos though. Like the that company was, they wrote the book on what it's like to run a great customer support success story, right?
100%. And you want to paint a picture of Rocket being bad. In 2010, 2009, in the height of the recession, Detroit's unemployment rate was 3x the national average. And instead of staying in the suburbs, Dan Gilbert moved his entire headquarters down to downtown Detroit. He went against the grain when everyone was leaving. And people are asking him like, "Hey man, why do you keep buying skyscrapers?" And his simple reply was, "Because they're on sale."
Yeah, guys, like I said earlier on, if you know of anyone that's been in the mortgage business, and we have lots of people in our network who have over the past few decades, every time they go through a bust cycle, everyone gets laid off. And the next time that happens, and it will happen, the strong companies like Rocket will figure out a way to take advantage of that, right?
Well, they just did a big hiring boost, right? They just hired a bunch of people to deal with the huge influx of applications that they're having throughout the pandemic, right?
Yeah, but let me tell you, Jordan, the thing is, Rocket will be in enough business sectors. So when you have that next retraction in the mortgage business, they will have enough diversification to be able to shift resources and to be able to take advantage of their competition who is constantly letting people go, then having to bring people back on. What happens when you let people go and bring them back on constantly? You don't have a corporate culture. You don't have any formality in terms of rigorous training or process or procedures. That can't exist in that type of an atmosphere, right? It's a churn and burn, boiler room style atmosphere. And that's why they're just on a whole nother level. And listen, I'm a sales guy. My entire life I've been a sales guy. I have so much respect for sales organizations that do it right. And this to me is certainly, and by the way, I feel more that way today after hearing it out of your mouth. I know you've said so much of this in your research, Bill, but I feel more this way now than I ever have about Rocket. I was going to sell a pretty decent chunk out of my short-term ARB side of this trade. I think I'll sell a little less than I was going to sell after today's episode, whenever I do make that first exit. But Bill, don't worry, I'm keeping a bunch for the long-term trade, okay?
I'm not a financial advisor. You do what you want, Chris.
I know. I will not blame you on anything that goes wrong here. And by the way, don't anyone ever come to this channel and blame us on a trade. We don't want you to make any trades. Nothing related to this channel. Please just listen to it, do your own homework, make your own decisions, speak to your own financial advisor if you need to. We do not want you trading on this stuff. This is just to make you think different. That's it. Just to get you guys to figure out how to think different and not follow the herd, right? Because I think the herd has been against Rocket for 4 months now, right? 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, they were on board with Rocket, but then the manipulation happened. Holy crap, $38? Oh man, my limit orders are gone.
39.
Oh, wow.
Wait, what? What?
38.
Oh,
38.90.
No.
Did you sell? Did you sell?
I turned off my phone because I didn't want any distractions, and I put limit orders at like 16.
Wait, what? You sold?
Not purposely. I didn't.
Oh,
no.
you sold!
I didn't sell everything.
No, you're the paper hands! You're the paper hands!
No, these are VVS 2, man.
Oh, paper hands! Peloton Games, paper hands!
So
I'm still in!
I still have 300,000 worth, all right?
Okay.
All right, that's 3x my annual salary. So
Hey,
still
you're making money. You can't blame anybody for making money.
Wait, you still have a job? You still work? You're still in the working class?
Yeah, man, I know.
After Peloton?
Crazy.
Yeah, well, Chris, if I would have held
you're
my
saying
calls,
what your portfolio has done just in the last 24 hours, right?
Yeah, so yeah, I don't even want to go over the percentage. I know my parents are watching probably, so I'm just gonna
Welcome to my life.
Yeah. Hey man, and if your mom's just looking out for you when she gets nervous.
I know. I know. Trust me, I know, and I love her. I love her for it, but like the last thing you want on a down day after you've been kind of exposing that to the world on YouTube is then to deal with a call from your mom. So, are you going to be okay? Like, you need to move back in? Like, I'm nervous. You're being too risky. I'm like, I'm 46 years old.
Yeah. I'm Chris Camillo. Come on.
For the people who are wondering what paper hands means, it's basically the opposite of diamond hands. Diamond hands means you're not selling. Paper hands means you can't hold on to that paper. It's just flying out, and sometimes you get limited out when you have an order in, not expecting it to go that high.
We'll do another show of why I never use limit orders or stop orders or any orders that I don't control with my own finger in real time. But that's okay. There's a use for them. Hey, you did pretty good on that trade, right? Like pretty good. And you still are in
he's
pretty
still
heavy.
got plenty of attendees.
Here's the thing too, guys. Going in today, I had 585 calls. Before I had 900, but I got kind of nervous and I sold, 300-400 of them. And then I was listening to Market Wizards, and I heard Chris talk about his Under Armour trade, and the Lululemon earnings report came out. So I was like, dude, this is kind of like United Wholesale Mortgage, how they crashed. And I was like, no, you can't do it. So thank you, Chris. That anecdote really helped me big time.
Listen, I will never forget that trade. I was going to Under Armour stores, interviewing store managers. Dave, I think I called you from the parking lot of an Under Armour outlet store, and I was like, dude, you're not going to believe this. He literally just told me that they just got off a corporate call where they were like, yeah, digital sales are up like whatever. And like everyone in the store knew. He was like telling everybody, like his digital sales are up. I'm like, what the hell? And like my thesis, it was the coldest winter we had in like 15 years. And this is when Under Armour was really big into their cold gear, and people didn't realize how big of a product line that was for them. I had gone in so deep on Under Armour, man. And then Lululemon came out with a bad earnings, and everybody dumped Under Armour before Under Armour earnings had come out. And I got so scared because there was a sell-side analyst, probably JP Morgan, I don't know, who had come out and basically dumped on Under Armour and said they were going to crash that quarter just like Lululemon. And I pulled out about half of my call position at a pretty heavy loss. Under Armour comes out with earnings, blows it out of the water. I make like 5x on what I had left. I still end up making a 2 or 3x on the trade, but it would have been an 8 or a 9x on the trade if I would have held in. But like I learned my lesson. When I have high conviction,
Paper hands.
We're all paper hands sometimes, man. But when I have high conviction, I try to not change my trade unless there's real new information. Actual information related to my thesis that leads me to believe that I missed something. But unless I see it, I'm not out. But listen, your trade played out, man. This is it. Like it's at $39. Like it's. I know you're gonna hold some forever, but
yeah.
Congrats, dude.
Thanks,
I'm gonna just pull up this actual more zoomed in handlebars chart just so you can see it. It's having the resistance there at 40 because I'm guessing a lot of people had their limit orders in and didn't really expect it to happen today.
Yeah, I mean, this is at a point now, Dave, where it's kind of ridiculous. In fact, let me pull mine up. Let's see, Rocket. I'll tell you what, guys. We have Rocket. Where is it? Right here. I have 60,000 shares, and I am going to... Wait, let me see here. 60,000 shares. I just sold 10,000 of the shares because I want to be in this with you, man. I want to be in this with you. You got out, so I'm getting out a little bit too. I might sell another 10K after the show, so I'm down to 50,000 shares of Rocket now.
Now, do we know, Bill? Did you stay out of your position? I saw you on your phone there. Are you buying back in?
Oh man, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm.
You know, if you sold at 40, you can buy at 39.50.
I'm up. My account overall today is up 120%, which is a good feeling.
In a day?
In a day.
Dude,
Yeah.
First of all, this is why you don't do YouTube shows when you're an investor, because it screws you all the time.
It's happened to all of us.
It happens to us all the time. You're only on for an hour. You'll never get screwed again until you get back on the show, okay? So let's leave you with this. I think we need to leave him to his head and to his trading, right? But I want to tell you something. Bill Pitong, is everything that we do is for people like you, like seeing what you have done for this community, seeing who you have become, seeing how much money you have made, seeing how your life has been changed. You are everything. You are the entire reason of why we started this show, why we started the Discord. I firmly believe that in a few years, we will have not hundreds of you, but thousands of you out there who have made millions and who have their lives changed. And it's just like, I love these stories, man. Like, you are the story. You are dumb money. You're the epitome of dumb money. It sounds really insulting when I say that, but you know what I mean, dude. Like,
yeah.
Thank you for doing everything you do. Thank you for
breaking out.
sharing. Because
It's breaking out. We're almost 40.75.
Oh,
Let me leave you guys with this.
41.
Oh.
We broke 41.
Oh.
I sold my 10,000 shares. That's why it's going up. I should have kept those extra 10,000.
Well, let me leave you with this. You know, just like Pitons in the first inning, and Rockets in the first inning, dumb money is in the first inning. I have full conviction that you guys are going to have hundreds of thousands, if not million subscribers. So keep doing what you do. Everybody in the Discord community appreciates you guys. And I just want to say it's this has been a great past 12 months, and it's all because of you guys. So thank you.
Dude, thank you so
Well,
much.
and we
I think,
thank you
Dave,
for-
we should
for your
pretty much end it
participation.
on that note.
Oh,
Yeah,
hey,
no, his participation in the Discord group, you know, there are a few names that you just know, and your Peloton Gaines is definitely one of them.
Well, hey, Dave, we gotta go over Back to the Future trivia question.
Oh, yes, before the show, you said you had a Back to the Future trivia question for me. Hang on one sec, let me...
Just, if y'all don't know, Dave thought he was the biggest Back to the Future fan in the world until Peloton Gaines says he is even a bigger fan.
Let me grab the mic from the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, if you can see that.
Ooh, God. All right, so I'm gonna warm you up first. What was the name of Dr. Emmett Brown's dog?
Which year?
Oh God.
Oh!
Because he had multiple names.
Next question.
Copernicus and
Okay.
go ahead.
So when Marty goes back in time initially, whose barn does he crash into?
The old Peabody farm.
Peloton Gaines out. You guys
And
rock.
one thing you may not notice when he goes crashing through the barn, he actually takes out a pine tree. Early on in the first episode, there's the Twin Pines Mall. Later, when he comes back, it's the Lone Pines Mall because he took out one of the trees on crashing into Mr. Peabody's barn.
Biggest Back to the Future fan right here, ladies and gentlemen. That's awesome, man. I love you guys. We'll see you later.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it. Guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the alert bell so you get notifications all the time, every time, because we do random shows like the one we did this weekend where some of our favorite people had came on, like Meet Kevin, and we were talking about this trade on Saturday night. We've been talking about it all week, last week, guys. So I hope you pay attention to our Twitter accounts, and you have to be in our Discord, because Discord is where this lived well before we even started talking about it last week, right? It was living on Discord all month.
Chris, you said it at the beginning. If you had actually paid attention to the Discord even closer than you do, you would have been on this trade and made an extra 50%.
Oh yeah, every time I wait too long, like I'm not on Discord for a few days, and that's right when the awesome high conviction report comes out, and our whole community is investing in it, and then great, I got to get in it after, you know, our community has it all pumped up. So it's like I always get screwed on these things. I got in this one late. I got in at 21.5. It was really late. Now it's at 41
Hey,
now.
I got in
2 days
even later. I got in this morning.
Well, hey.
And
not bad.
I'm still up 30%.
All right.
All right, thank
Listen.
you guys for watching. We are Dumb Money. If you haven't subscribed, do that. Hit the thumb on your way out, and we will see you right back here probably Thursday, if not sooner.